gentlemen, welcome to the main event.
Let's go.
Round one, fight.
Thank you for tuning in to the Crypto Street Podcast. Here are your hosts, Killer Whale, Prince, and Crypto Dale.
And remember to tip your waitress.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. It is Wednesday evening, approximately 6:11 or so. I don't know why that's relevant, but I felt like saying it. Our guest today is the one and only Krutches. A lot of you guys probably know of him if you're on the scene. Longtime friend of the show and of us, and one of the mainstays of our fantasy league. Actually won my league this year. So Krutches, congrats about that, and welcome aboard.
Thanks, guys. Long-time listener, first-time caller. It's good to be on the show.
Hey.
That's perfect. I know it was planned, but it's still perfect.
It's sports, man. It's sports.
Yep. So you've been doing a little traveling the past few days, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe tell everybody about what you've been up to, your thoughts on your travels and where you've been.
Yeah, man. So I'm a college senior, and I'm graduating, just interviewing for jobs. So I'm currently in Nashville, and then I'm just going home to see the parents here in a couple days after I visit Nashville for the holidays. So yeah, pretty cool spot.
I've heard stories of Nashville, but I've never been. I have friends who've been, and they always hype it to me. Is it like hype worthy? Like, should I go check it out someday?
Yeah, I think absolutely. I actually met up with another guy off of crypto Twitter today named Wooderson. Shout out to him. He's super cool dude. And he actually, I think, had the best description. He called it like the Vegas of the South. So like any like SEC fans out there will come here for the weekend to watch games, and then pretty much like the second biggest bachelor or bachelorette party place outside of Vegas. So
is like the nightlife scene like really that big there? Because I think Nashville, I think like kind of quaint, cool, like southern city, but that's like pretty big time. That would.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of compare it to San Diego in a way. Like LA feels like a big city, and then you go to San Diego and it's a big city, but it feels like a small city compared to it. Perfect. Yeah. And Nashville's the same way, where it's a big city. There's a lot to do. Obviously, hockey team, football team, their MLS team, but it feels like a pretty small. Like each neighborhood's kind of separate. But then you head downtown, and it's pretty sweet. Like I went to Broadway last night, and there's some pretty sick clubs, and it's cool because they're all like 4 stories, and each story is like one story is a sports bar. They have bands playing on the first floor. The 4th floor is like a DJ club that's upstairs outdoors looking over the river and the stadium and all that. So it's a pretty sick spot.
So Broadway is is that like the strip of Nashville, basically?
Yeah, that's like, I would compare it to like the Gas Lamp in San Diego. If you've been there, it's pretty much the exact same thing. And then there's some like off-road or off-street clubs as well. But I think that's like the main spot. That's where the NFL draft was a couple years ago too. So.
Oh, cool. Man, that's got to be such a riot, the draft in Nashville. I mean, that's a great city to have it, I would think.
Yeah, no, it seemed like a pretty sick spot, like because it was all outdoors and it was just like crowded with people. And then apparently bachelorette parties were complaining because they didn't realize it was that weekend, and everything was just crowded with a bunch of dudes watching football.
It's like New York City on New Year's Eve or Times Square. It's just like a night. I mean, that's probably a way bigger scale, but like I just hear the worst things ever about that. Like people do it and they're like never ever again. Like you can't even leave to go to the bathroom. It's like a wall of people. You're literally stuck.
Yeah, man. Never. I would never do that.
Yeah.
Every time I've been to Times Square, I've always felt that way. And it's never like in that time of year, you know, it's like usually pretty good. I think most would say when I've gone, and I always feel that way. It's just very up to get.
Yeah. And last time when we were there, it was raining the whole time. So everyone's like ducking for cover. So you don't even get like the total feel. But when it's like sunny and stuff, and then, I mean, New Year's is a whole nother ball game too. It's just packed.
Dude, I got hustled so hard in Times Square. My first time ever going out to New York. I had guys selling me their SoundCloud rap mixtape CDs. I remember like we literally had a cop come up to us as Buddy's getting hustled. I'm getting hustled, and the cop's like, "What are you guys doing?" I'm like, "I don't know. These guys just got me giving money to them right now, and like I'm getting a CD back. I'm never gonna listen to it, but here I am." He's like, "Well, like, do you want your money back?" And you know, I'm looking at these guys, and, they're fighters, right? You can tell, people of the street, right? And I look and I'm like, if I just got hustled that bad, like I'm just that much of an idiot about this. Like, keep the money, you deserve it. I just hope there's
Take
actually
the L and
like,
move
yeah,
on.
that's pretty much what I said. I just hope like there's not just like some whale noises on these CDs, and there's actually like something to listen to. And yeah, there wasn't even anything on the CDs. So,
Have you guys seen that video of some guy in New York subway where this like heavyset dude spits on this guy through a train door, and the guy who's inside the train like busts his way out of the door forcefully and just KOs this guy like right on the subway? It's
I have not seen that. It reminds me, the Prince's story reminds me of when I was in Vegas last time a few months ago, and my buddy, I think it was like a second time there, but we were walking across one of the bridges to the Aria, and he's like a big time sports gambler, and you have one of those monks like selling the blessing cards and stuff, or giving them away. And he like takes one, and the dude just like chases him down the ramp, like, dude, give me some money. And then he was like, nah, man, I'm good. And then just like gives him the card back. And then we ended up losing like 3,000 on Florida versus Mizzou that day.
Cursed you guys.
It was like we got straight up cursed that day. So
that's tough. Yeah, that's deadly.
Prince, you got to track this dude down and learn some new hexes.
Yeah, when there's spiritual forces involved, that's just not. It's just rude, honestly.
That's when you go light on the games.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, just in case. Anyway, you guys, have you guys been watching the price today of Bitcoin?
Kind of. I've not like I haven't been glued to the chart because I've been just betting on sports pretty much all day. Wake up, you got soccer, you got Bundesliga, you got all of that. And then afternoon, you got NCAA basketball. And then in the evenings, then I got hockey. So I've just been gambling all day. Haven't really had all that great of a day yet, mainly because of the basketball betting. Eating some L's there. Let's just say that. But yeah, I've just kind of seen the price. It got a pretty hard pump, like where it got down below 66.
Hell of a rebound here. It's like a
and
total
then,
V.
well, it got over like 73. I don't know. What's it at right now?
7,100, 7,200 ish.
Yeah. That's a huge move higher. It's like, it's kind of tricky though now, right? Like, because Bitcoin's seen so many of these massive moves, and then it's like it'll just slowly drift down and give it all back, right?
Yeah.
So what are we going to see?
Too.
Exactly.
Like,
yeah.
Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. So is it like, are we going to actually see, was this a reversal candle? Like, are we going to see a trend change now in Bitcoin? Or was this just another classic, huge, strong, we'll call it a relief rally after being suppressed for so long before we see just more continuation down? That's, I think, kind of the question right now. But it's interesting. Like, we got a resident whale on Twitter, Joe 007. Joe's been like getting quite the sizable position. Most people, I think, like something I've seen pretty big talk of on Twitter was the whole Bitfinex margin longs just going through the roof, right? And then, well, now they got a leaderboard, so you can kind of see, who's doing things, profit loss, all that stuff, right? And so it seems that this Joe, our whale, our crypto Twitter whale, built up around, I think it's just under a $200 million position, a long position. Yeah, crazy, right? He was down, and now he's been building this for a little bit now, right? And he was down, I think, like yesterday, people were like getting pretty crazy talking about it. Like, I think he was down about 25 million yesterday. And then I think he must be like off of this move today. I imagine he got back to break even. I'm thinking
still short. Do we even know if he was still short?
Well, I don't know. He's been getting long, really long.
I thought he went long today before the pump.
Yeah, he's been long. But it's interesting because it's not like his position, like it seems like he's posted a lot of the collateral for it. It's not like, because when a lot of people watch these Bitfinex, like the margin positions, whether it be shorts or longs, they're always kind of, the whole thing is, well, we just want to see them capitulate, right? Like just see them, just empty out off a move or something against them. But I don't know if we would see that with this guy. It seems like, because it looks like only about half of the positions paying funding on it. So
wait, real quick, is the guy on Twitter, is that the real guy or is that a parody?
No, that's him. Like he linked it to the leaderboard, if I'm not mistaken, his Twitter account and
Oh,
everything.
really?
So, yeah. Ballsy move. I don't know. The guy, I don't know. Yeah. I wouldn't want to put myself out there like that. But yeah, interesting nonetheless. Guy's got some money. He's a baller.
The heaviest autumn wolf.
Yeah.
If you're trading $200 million positions, that's probably not even a person, right? That's like an entity. That, I mean, I can't imagine
right?
flying in 200 million of your own money.
It's not often you have an individual trading positions that size when it's, just their own capital. It does happen. It's just not very common. So.
I mean, the guy would probably have to be like somewhere near a billionaire, if not like a multi-billionaire, I would imagine, to be trading $200 million positions. I mean,
yeah. And it looks like he's like kind of covered a lot of it. Like, where it doesn't seem like he's like really insanely leveraged up is really what it looks like. So, yeah, it's like guy's got a lot of money. It is curious. It's like, is it an individual? Is it a business? What is it? Who knows?
Krutches, do you have any thoughts on what the price action has done or where we're headed, or even just gut? You don't have to be super analytical about it or anything.
Yeah, no, I mean, I definitely don't consider myself a trader in the traditional aspect, but I mean, it's just, I'm just watching the sentiment, I guess, heading into the halving next year. I don't think it's going to be steady. I think it's going to be capitulation or moon, like the old narrative was. The new narrative seems capitulation. So maybe somewhere in between there, but yeah, I think it's an interesting spot for sure. I definitely don't have a strong opinion one way or the other. I'm just holding spot pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
Do you find it funny, this like infatuation that people seem to have with being a trader? You got to be a professional trader. You got to trade full time. Because I find it a little bit loony.
Yeah, I think it's an exciting prospect. Like when you first get into any sort of market, you're like, oh wait, I can buy stocks, and you're like, oh wait, I can option trade. Oh wait, I can day trade weekly options on the SPX or whatever. And then you're like, wait, this is a way to get rich quick. When I first joined the Marine Corps, I remember it was around when the first quantitative easing came out, and I had a signing bonus when I joined the Marine Corps, and I pretty much weekly longed the whole thing right before the announcement came up, and then like closed it 5 minutes later for 100% profit. And I was like, wait, this is easy. And then proceeded to like bleed out my entire account over the next year.
That's always how it happens.
Yeah. And I think everyone goes through that phase, and then you get to the point where you either become like a full-time trader, like a lot of these really good traders are, or you figure out, you know what, screw that, I'm just going to hold spot or short, 1x or whatever it is. So,
well, and like I find there's so much to be said for just sitting and just chilling with a position, because I think a lot of people like they want to be, this whole thing, like you said, the whole thing about wanting to be a trader and thinking you always have to be trading and how it looks so attractive. But I don't really, like you look at these top guys in the world who have outperformed markets like crazy. A lot of them, it doesn't involve being at the desk, hitting buy or sell every day, right? Like a lot of it is just building up a position and then riding it out. There are the traders who, are doing arbitrage, stuff like that. And to me, that's kind of a different game. But like, the whole thing of like, gotta, kind of like you said, like, let's just start trading weekly options all the time, right? And just long the shit out of this. It's like, it's kind of more gambling in many ways, as much as I think a lot of guys don't like to hear it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is, right? And, to me, it's different though. If you're doing like arbitrage, stuff like that, market making, well, to me, that's a different game then. But like when you're doing a lot of, you're thinking you got to be directionally trading all the time through the day. I think honestly, in many ways, it's probably a loser's game in the end. It's tough
for
to
sure.
do.
It is.
Yeah, it's tough.
Points to that.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is I think a lot of people kind of mistake that, is like they'll think that, they want to be doing this directional trading all day, but the guys who are trading all day, they're not directionally trading typically, right? Like it's literally, maybe they're making markets, maybe they're arbitraging things. You know what I mean? It's just these little things. Maybe they're playing spreads. Well, even if you're playing spreads, you don't really need to be trading all day. So that's the thing. The guys who are trading all day, all the time, they're not like directionally exposed like a lot of people would like to think. entails, right? And
I agree.
That's the point of it, is to try to take away your exposure, your risk. But yeah.
And the thing is too, like, these markets are way harder than they were even 2 years ago. I mean, you look at the charts, we never had any of this BART nonsense at any point really until, I want to say, like a year and a half ago ish. And now it happens constantly, it seems.
Yeah.
I'm not trading for that reason for many, but I don't have the effort or the time or the Adderall to put in for that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you just look at it, and it's like you see many moments where you're like, "Oh, I would have been sure it was heading one direction at that point," and then it just completely zips the other, and then you get destroyed. If you had any kind of leverage, especially.
Mm-hmm. I think like the best, just for myself, is just looking like the best trades, the best performance times of my trading. They've never come when I'm trying to be extremely active in the market. It's typically when I'm just I have a position, I've built a position, and, I've done my research, I know what I'm in, and then, maybe it just starts to go in my way, and it says, you're right, and here's a thing, we're going to reward you now. My best performances have never really been from, getting my hands dirty every day, right? Like, it is literally, those are usually when I'm going to start eating losses. So
have you guys found yourself watching charts more than you did, say, 6 months ago? Or less, or the same?
Personally, I don't even look at the chart outside of seeing people on Twitter post. Like, I'm literally completely ignoring it, I guess, just because I'm focusing on other stuff. But yeah, I assume Prince looks at it a bit more than me.
I used to be like, we'll say glued to it. Always having TradingView up on my phone, but I've actually I'm trying to get off of my phone, because it's just, you know what I mean? Like, it just hooks you in, right? And there's it's exactly right. Like, you can end up just being on your phone all day, really doing a lot of nothing on it, but yet you're distracted all day on your phone. So I've been trying to get off of it more. And so part of that was actually I deleted the TradingView app on my phone. I've never really had any of those portfolio trackers on my phone, but I just deleted the TradingView app just to try to get me off of it. So, I still have Binance on here and all that shit. And so when I want to go check, but it's more inconvenient for me to have to go onto Binance app to check than it is for me to go into TradingView. So that's kind of kept me off of it a bit compared to how much I was. And I've actually noticed it's been a positive thing. It is.
I asked that question because I saw a tweet the other day, and it was talking about behavioral investing and how psychology plays into prices and cycles and bull markets and bear markets. And one of their points was that there's this illusion of price stability when times get a little bit more bullish because you're watching the chart more. Yeah. I had never thought about it like that, but it seems to make a lot of sense to me, because if you're checking constantly, I mean, you get a little bit numb to these moves, which are otherwise considered pretty big percentage moves. And that illusion of stability, I think that's something I've been thinking about a lot lately. And maybe that's not groundbreaking at all. But I had never heard it presented that way. But it seems to make a lot of sense.
Yeah, no, I'd agree. That makes a lot of sense. Like I said, I think through not checking the chart as much recently, I think I tend to see bearish news on the feed more on crypto Twitter. And I think that I just kind of naturally attach myself to that. And then I say, oh, wait, it pumped. There's a few posts, but I don't really recognize it as much. It's kind of like seeing, you always pay attention to your losses more than your wins. So it's kind of that, I think, mentality in general.
That too. They certainly hurt way more, by double at least. I would say. I mean, taking a big loss on a trade is just gutting. It's kind of like losing a sports bet. One you were super confident about and you went big on. You're just oh my god. You see the game unfolding and you're like, I am a fucking moron.
It's funny because I saw somebody tweet about this the other day, and I couldn't have agreed with him more. And it was along the lines of, all you guys out here are trying to become full-time traders, trading every day, all throughout the day, when you'd probably be better off just betting on sports. I couldn't have agreed with something more there, because at least when you're betting on sports, there's an end, right? So you have a start and you have an end, to me, and that's big. When you get into this whole thing of, trying to trade all the time throughout the day, a lot of times, you get into something and then all of a sudden you think you got to be doing things. So maybe all of a sudden you're in some and then you're out of some. And it's well, fuck, you should have just held it. Maybe you were right, and look at what you could have caught if you would have just chilled out, you know. But because you got this, well, I need to be doing now, you're going to miss out on things when you are actually right. And so I thought it was funny because I don't see many people come out and just say that. Like, you'd probably be better off just doing that if this is what you're looking for. And yeah, I 100% agree.
I think I'd probably agree with that. I'm like a little bit unsure, but I mean, I hit a moment very similar to that, like a few months ago, where I was just like, I'm getting killed on this chop. I know I'm not doing it well. Like, maybe at least do something that I can maybe make a little bit from, you know, I'm not like knocking it out of the park with gambling, but it's at least not really losing money. So,
you know, I've had the same thought about people in alts. I'm like, you know, fuck all these guys, like, they love trading alts so much. They love trading these alts because they think it's going to get them their 100x or something. And I'm like, fuck, why don't you just learn options? You know, if you love taking this insane amount of risk on shit coins, which pretty much act like options in so many ways anyways, it's like, why not just learn, you know, the professional products? I've thought about that too. It's like,
I think options are harder than shit coins, though, honestly. I mean,
probably because there is the expiry.
Coins, yeah, you don't have perpetual swaps, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because of the expiry.
That takes a lot to get used to, where you can be right, but if you're not right quickly enough, then you just decay into nothing. Your option.
Yeah,
I think that's something I kind of like sometimes get angry about on Twitter probably too much, but like, I'm always just like, do what you're good at. Like, don't be faking one thing or another. Like, I personally am not a profitable day trader. I'm a profitable swing trader in stocks, but I'm not even as profitable if I just held. Like, I had a post the other day showing I bought Shopify like 2 years ago for $75 and swung traded it, sold it for 93, and it's $395 right now, I think. So it's like, you know, I mean, obviously that market's just been going up and up and up, but like, you know, in the long run, like almost every trade, if I look back at it, it's like, oh wait, if I just bought and held this, you know, I'm not saying to do that for crypto, especially not for alts, but you know, I think sometimes just like know the lane you're in and be good at that. Like, you know, you can learn poker just as easy as you can learn trading. So if you suck at trading, try something else maybe.
That's another thing, right? Like, I use sports betting as the example, but I think poker is another great one. I got to learn poker, but I have a lot of friends, like even you, Krutches, you love playing poker. You're good at it. It's like, and it's another thing that's kind of right up that alley, you know, for traders and all that stuff.
Krutches, I can't tell you how many people we have on, and we go, so what's your background? And they go, well, I was playing online poker and I saw this thing and yada, yada. And it's like incredible amounts of overlap.
Yeah. I mean, I know Donnie's one of the guys I'm friends with. That's him. And he's a way better poker player than I am even. And he plays, you know, pretty much a lot of the time for some of his income, I think. But I think it's just the risk tolerance of poker players really plays into alt, or people that buy alts and invest in crypto. So I think that's kind of the overlap. Sports betting, poker / alts, same thing. Gambling, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, this is something I haven't thought about. So this is like a half-baked idea, but do you ever think about like long-term consequences for us or people trading alts, and just in terms of like having your risk tolerance be that high? Like, maybe that's a bad thing for life in general. I don't know.
It's tough, right? Because like I remember back in 2017 when, you know, we had probably just passed the peak of the market, but I believe I wasn't the only one. And at this time, you were in this whole sense of, well, fuck, risk on, because everything's been working so well. Just risk on, right? Buy everything you can, and then continuing that. And like, because when alts really get going, and I think like now there's a lot of people who probably forget what it's even like, but when they really get going, it's overwhelming. If you're on the right side of a coin, it's overwhelming, and you don't even think straight anymore. Like all rational thought goes out the window, right? So it's tough. I don't know. Like, I think just trading in general, what does it do to you mentally after a while, right? Because
true,
you know, it's a rather emotionless, if you're doing it right, and it's an emotionless, you know, activity really. And yeah, that can drag on you if you're not careful.
Yeah.
I think people like mature in general as far as their risk tolerance. I mean, crypto's predominantly a pretty young game, and then the people that are older in crypto, the boomers, they're usually professional traders. I think they've done it for a while. I think, like me personally, I got into crypto and was immediately doing trading, and you know, it was great. And obviously, it was a less mature market back then. And like you said, alts, you know, Ray Blocks is my best coin ever, and and I was shilling that to everyone, and and that came crashing back down. Luckily I took some profit, but I mean, I think
Neo
you learn.
now?
No, that's Nano.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think you learn in the long run, and I think a lot of the young people just see it as a get rich quick scheme, and I think you kind of get into the space for a while and you realize like, oh, it's a somewhat more mature market. There's still alpha to be had, but it's going to be on a more traditional trading level. And I think not that to sound negative about it, but if for someone like me, I've moved on and looked at other markets I think are more stable or more consistent that I would be better in. So.
Well, especially, I mean, the S&P is up like 25% this year, or 28-ish, 30%. I mean, it's killed it this year. So it's easy to look elsewhere, I think, at this point. Especially, I think another thing that's super important with this is like keeping your percentage returns in perspective. So like, obviously there's this crazy volatility where your position is going to fluctuate a massive amount on a day-to-day basis. But if you look at the returns of some of these things this year, I mean, you're looking at like, some random coins. I mean, you're looking at 250, 300% returns just over the course of the year, but it feels like they've done nothing, right? Or been basically flat, but that's still a massive return for a year, like huge compared to almost any other asset you can invest in.
It's hard in crypto, to keep it that reality check, keep it in check. It's like, because I remember there was a time where, if you were trading something for a 10%, 20% gain and you were flipping it, it was like, man, you're kind of dumb. It's like, because you could be getting so much more. Like just chill a little bit here, And now though, that isn't considered dumb, right? It's like, fuck, if you're doing that, that's good for you, right?
Yeah.
And it's that whole change of mentality, being able to get that shift. And it's not the easiest shift. Some it's easy, some it's not. Myself, it's like, I got to get kicked in the ass a few times, and then I'm like, oh, fuck, I've been missing what's right in front of me here. That's usually how it is for me. But, yeah.
All right. Not much happening in current events, but one thing I did want to touch on was, I saw a headline today, SEC proposal would broaden accredited investor definition. For anybody who doesn't know, accredited investor standards in investing basically mean you're an individual who makes more than $200,000 per year, or you have a net worth of $1 million. And it basically means you can invest in certain things like private placements, private equity deals, public deals on certain companies. And so what it basically has turned into though, and the idea behind it is that you have to be knowledgeable so you don't get hurt in these more advanced investments. But what it's really turned into is sort of a system where if you're already ahead, you can get more ahead of other people. So it's this unequal sort of thing. And plenty of people have railed on this. It's not just us by any means. But I thought that was interesting. And it kind of shows that some people in the government are tuned in a little bit, because I think this is a smart thing. But I don't know if you guys have thought about this or if you have any thoughts on it.
Yeah, I'm definitely on that same side. I mean, if you can advertise the lottery as, your lucky day, without any warning sign like you have to do on cigarettes or something else, I think that's pretty, if you're not going to tell them you have a 1 in 276 trillion chance or whatever it is to hit the Powerball, then, why do you have to tell someone that they can get lung cancer from cigarettes? So I think, I mean, it's the same thing. Like, you would be better off sports betting than buying a lottery ticket. So I think if you can do certain things, you should be able to do other things. And I think, it's great to protect investors from, scammy ICOs like 2017 possibly, but at the same time, there was people that also made outsized returns. And if you had accredited investor laws like you do now, for the famed and fallen security token offerings, for example, that were supposed to come and go, those are supposed to be accredited investors only, and that kind of blocks out a lot of the crypto market, if not 95% of it or more. So I think that's pretty unfair to say that if you have that sort of money, that you're automatically more educated and you can take on that risk better, when some people are educated and maybe are just younger, like myself, for example. Probably that's obviously a college kid. I'm not going to be necessarily in that accredited investor range yet. So
no, I agree with that. Well said.
Yeah. So I want to touch on the fantasy alt standings very quickly. I had the numbers on my phone. My phone is out of battery right now, but I kind of recall the standings roughly off the top of my head. So third place, not here to even defend himself, with a total portfolio value of about 2.8 BTC is Dale.
2.89. Yeah, I got it.
2.9.
I got it here.
Oh, you got him?
Yeah. So Dale, I'll run through him. Dale's got 2.895, so he's in dead last right now. Whale, you got 3.52. Tezos is still your best performer at like 2.04 BTC now, so you've like more than doubled that, which is pretty impressive. And then I'm sitting here with 3.89. First place, FTT is my best performer at 2.08. And the rest of my alts pretty much look like nothing. Leo is probably the one I'm most impressed with out of mine because it's sitting at 0.994. And that was
stable coin.
Yeah, a literal stable coin, right? Because put one BTC into all of these, and Leo is at 0.994. So it hasn't done anything. So yeah, that's fantasy standings.
So we got about a week and a half left. It's anybody's. I want to say it's a 2-horse race still. I think I'm still probably going to lose, but I think I have a shot to make a charge.
I think you're still in it. You're still in it. Holding Tezos, you're never not in it, right? So
yeah, well, I got almost 2 weeks. I'll say almost 2 weeks, not even a week and a half. So I got a shot. We'll see. We'll probably take next week off because of Christmas, but we'll be back the week after to recap and award the winner.
Yep. And fantasy football is now. I got booted out of the finals. Krutches is in. Krutches won his league.
It's okay, Prince. I'll represent.
I lost to Kirk, Kirk put up, I guess, the most points out of all the finals games. He had like 148 points.
Yeah, that's a big game.
I put up 107 points. Wasn't enough though, not for that. And I'll give him credit. I kind of shot myself in the foot at the start of the year by giving him Lamar Jackson and Ingram. But oof. Oof, yeah. Oof. It's a tough one, and I probably lost because of that. And I also acquired Mac from him. Mac was an absolute dud. Like, he didn't even show up. Like, I'm wondering what the hell was going on.
He's an RB2 if you want to place him, but
so there's just a lot of things didn't work out for me. But they still fought. The boys fought hard.
So Krutches, you're now playing for the overall champion, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm in last place right now, but we got a game plan.
How you feeling?
We're feeling pretty good. Don't want to give away too much alpha, but the good news is I've looked at or at least at Kirk's roster, and I have none of the same players as him, so no redundancy there. So I have hopefully some upside, and then I'm going full DFS this week, basically, like it's a GPP. So I had Perryman benched last week, which killed me, but it was between Mac, Dede Westbrook, and him, and I figured it was a close matchup. I wanted to win the league first, so I figured. And I made the right decision. Mac had 1 fantasy point, 1.9, and then I played Dede, who had 3.5, I think, and then Perryman had 33, but he was also like the lowest floor, I thought. So made the wrong choice there, but I was never really considering starting him anyway. So he's going to be stacked with Jameis this week, so we're going to go for that another 3 touchdowns maybe.
What a year for Jameis! It's been incredible. I mean, to almost join the 30-30 club.
We stand Jameis.
30 TDs, 30 ints.
This is Winston. This is I think I got to draft him next year. I've been watching him, and it's like, man, for a guy who just gives away the ball all the time, he puts up points. It's like, I don't care how disgusting it looks at times on the field. I want fantasy points, and he looks like the guy who's going to do it. So.
Oh yeah, he's got the nearsighted blindness like PMT talk about. He can't see linebackers. He starts off the game first drive interception, always a linebacker, and then it's 450 yards and 5 touchdowns. It's like, wait, what?
Like, I feel like going into next season, really, him and Jackson got to be at the top of everybody's QB list, right? Like, they just put up points. I don't know.
Well, how many negative points do you get for a pick?
It's -2 on ESPN, but the only reason I would say no for Jameis is we have to see what they do, because like he could very well not have his option picked up. I think they'll probably keep him because apparently Arians takes a while for quarterbacks to adjust. So when he was in Arizona, Carson Palmer took like 2 years to adjust and then had like almost an MVP year. So I think they keep Jameis, but I think Kyler Murray and Lamar are going to be the 2 top guys next year. Josh Allen maybe too, but I don't want to give away that because I want Josh Allen next year.
Yeah.
I heard
even
even
Tannehill is not bad. I don't mind him.
He's been good.
Hey, that just proves though. Sorry, Whale, but Adam Gase is a fantasy ruiner, as they were talking about on a couple of podcasts today. Le'Veon Bell can't do anything with him. He ruined Devontae Parker in Miami. Kenyon Drake. And now apparently he ruined Tannehill because he's now like the MVP over the last like 5 weeks, or second behind Lamar. Yeah.
And this Gase has a reputation as a quarterback guy too, because he had like one good season with Peyton Manning. Maybe one of the top 3 or 4 quarterbacks ever. It's like, wow, congrats! It's you can get this reputation though, even despite how little it's warranted. But it sticks. Yeah. You get a job,
for sure.
A lot of money. I heard I'm stealing this from Bill Simmons' podcast, but they were saying that Jameis needs to go out on the field with the Tampa Bay defense before the game and just throw a couple picks to them out of his system before the game starts. I thought that was
it's like a curse, man. He's got to do it. If he doesn't throw a pick, he goes for like 201 touchdown and nothing else. He plays that conservative game. But it's like he's got to get his blood rush and get that pick, and then he goes for 520 touchdowns and 18 interceptions.
He's got to be able to come off the field, get yelled at by the coach.
Have a couple crab legs on the side.
Yeah. Do some squinting.
Yeah.
Yes. A notorious squinter.
Jameis Squinston, baby.
That's hilarious.
I wonder if that's part of the reason he throws so many picks. The sun's just like seemingly always in his eyes.
Maybe it's like God shining upon him or something, just letting him throw interceptions and touchdowns and just carry the team on his back.
Yeah. Anyway, okay, that about wraps it up, fellas. Appreciate you coming on, Krutches. Good talking to you.
Appreciate
tell
it,
the folks. Yeah, no problem. Tell the folks where they can find you if you want to, or maybe keep it secret. But
yeah, I don't know. It's like Crypto Krutches, maybe Crypto_Krutches. I don't think there's an underscore. I think it's just Crypto Krutches. You can find me there. I just post about McDonald's and working out kind of, and then a little bit of stonk information and pretty much some useless garbage posts, but feel free to follow.
An unbelievable amount of McDonald's, I might add.
It's impressive. It'll be Bojangles this week while I'm on the East Coast. Some cookout too. You got to stand them.
Gets everything planned out for the week. All right. Monday we're going to McDonald's. Tuesday Bojangles. Wednesday Chick-fil-A.
He's got like a route planned out on the map, like the most efficient drive-through location.
Sometimes you just hate to cook, and you gotta do what's right. So
all the time.
All the time
is whack unless you're a good chef. But anyway. So we may not talk to y'all next week. I think that's kind of to be determined.
Probably won't, yeah.
With the holiday. But Merry Christmas to everybody, and we will touch base with everybody after that. See ya.
Peace.